I was at the kitchen sink, scraping the last bit of dressing into a container, when Mom said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather. "We're out of oat milk again. Can you grab some on your way home from work?" I didn't even look up, just snapped the lid shut and asked, "Is this for you or for Lauren's hormones?" She didn't laugh. She never does when it's about Lauren. "It's for her tea," she said, folding the grocery list like it was something sacred. "She needs to relax before her flight." I paused. "What flight, Reykjavík?" "She didn't tell you?" Mom replied, like it was no big deal. "It's a women's retreat, Iceland, good for her stress levels." The faucet kept running behind me, my hands were wet. I turned around slowly. "She's going to Iceland?" Mom just blinked. "Just a few days, spa resort, very holistic. She's been under a lot of pressure, Cassie." Stressed, that was the word she chose. Not unemployed. Not the reason I'd been paying the mortgage, groceries, bills, and now, apparently, the oat milk for her relaxation getaway. "How's she affording it?" "She won it," Mom said fast, "some online raffle." "Of course, Iceland, all expenses paid, thanks to a random raffle." "Yes," I repeated flatly, "a raffle." "Don't sound so skeptical, she deserves something good." I dried my hands slowly, the towel snagged on my ring. "When I got promoted to team lead, you said congrats and then asked if I could cover the water bill. That was your entire reaction." Mom stiffened. "That's not fair." "No," I said, "it's not." Just then, Lauren walked in like she owned the house. She wore the parka I gave her last Christmas, the one she said was too boring. Now she looked like a travel ad. She opened the fridge. "Where's the oat milk?" I stayed quiet. Mom handed her the list. "Cassie's getting it." Lauren gave her a kiss on the cheek. "Thanks, sis," she said, not even glancing at me, then left. The door clicked shut behind her. The silence that followed felt heavy. "I thought she was broke," I said. "She needed this trip," Mom replied. "You don't know how hard it is for her, being home all day." I didn't answer. The faucet was still running. I didn't turn it off. Something about all of this felt wrong, not just today. It had felt wrong for a long time, I just hadn't said anything yet. That was about to change. The next day, I searched for Retreat Iceland raffle. Nothing came up. I wasn't surprised. That night at dinner, I asked Mom casually, "What kind of raffle was it?" She fumbled. "Just something online, Lauren's always entering those." I nodded while chewing on dry meatloaf. "Funny, she usually brags about stuff like that." "She probably didn't want to upset you," Mom said. "You've been working so hard." "That concern? Brand new." "I'm not upset," I said. I was just exhausted, tired of always being the one to pick up the pieces, quietly, invisibly. Then, the next morning, my phone rang during a meeting. It was the credit card company. "This is Andrea from Gold Line Credit," the voice said. "We're calling to verify some activity on your account." I stepped out of the room. "What kind of activity?" "High-value charges from Reykjavík, spa, hotel, retail. Are you traveling?" I closed my eyes. "No, I'm not." "Would you like us to freeze the card?" "Yes. Total, $24,000, in 3 days." I looked through the email report. Luxury hotel, private tour, spa treatments, 4 restaurants, a glacier helicopter tour. I printed the list and left it on the kitchen table, right where Mom reads her paper. I didn't say a word. That evening, things were oddly quiet. Mom was folding laundry like it was an Olympic sport. Dad, usually silent unless there was a game on, cleared his throat. "She didn't mean anything by it," he said. Mom added, "The card was just sitting there. It's not like she stole it." I held up the paper. $24,000, in 3 days. She thought it was expiring, Mom said quickly. She didn't want it to go to waste. "She said that?" I asked. Mom hesitated. "More or less." I picked up the page and walked upstairs. On my voicemail, Lauren's voice was cheery. "Hey sis, card stopped working. Can you fix that? Still need to book the ice cave tour. Love you." She hung up without waiting for a response. I didn't tell them the card was frozen. Not yet. They found out the next morning when Lauren called from the hotel lobby. Mom was in the living room, cradling her 3rd cup of coffee in a mug that read Grateful Heart. "She says her card's not working," she said, phone pressed to her ear. I didn't look up from my laptop. That's right, it's not. Mom blinked. You turned it off? I reported it stolen, I said, calm as ever. Dad glanced up from his recliner. That's a bit much, don't you think? She took it without asking, I replied. That's theft, pretty simple. Mom's voice sharpened. You always overreact. Lauren called again. I let it go to voicemail. Seriously, you canceled it? I had things booked. Cass, that's unbelievably immature. I was going to get you something. That last part made me laugh, not out loud, just quietly, to myself. A trinket from a gift shop, apparently, was supposed to excuse $24,000 in unauthorized charges. Later that day, Mom did something she hadn't done in years. She knocked. We need to talk, she said at my door. I closed my laptop. She stepped in like the room still belonged to her and sat down with the air of someone preparing a lecture. She's stranded. She's in a luxury hotel. She doesn't have food money. She ordered truffle risotto last night. It's on the invoice. She's your sister. There it was, the family script, the fallback line, the expectation that I, the eldest, was supposed to fill in every gap. I sat straighter. Remember when I was in college and got a stomach ulcer from working 3 part-time jobs? Mom winced. Is this really the time? I called you. I needed help with a hospital bill, just $2,000. She was silent. You told me Lauren needed braces more. Mom folded her hands tightly in her lap. That was a different time. It always was. In that moment, she looked older, not just tired, uncovered, like someone whose mask had finally slipped. Then she did something unexpected. She reached across the space between us and put her hand on mine. I know we weren't always fair to you, she said, but right now, she needs you. I didn't pull away, but I didn't nod either. I thought about Lauren's voicemail, about the receipts, about how she said fix it like I was her assistant, not her sister. I thought about the day I turned 16 and they gave her a car while I got a savings bond. I thought about the rent money she borrowed to start a business, then used on concert tickets. And I thought about the house. The deed tucked away in the drawer, the one Dad signed over when I paid off the back taxes. The agreement was clear, I pay, I own it. I thought about all of it. Then I smiled. Okay, I said. Mom's face lit up, a mix of surprise and relief. You'll help? I stood, walked over to the dresser, and pulled out a different card, sleek, black, untouched. This one's still active, I said, handing it to her. Book her whatever she needs. She took it like it was grace, like balance had been restored. After she left, I made a call I'd been putting off for years. Grandma, I said, still looking for kitchen help at the cafe? The days that followed were quiet in a strange, almost sacred way. Lauren's calls slowed, her voicemails softened, from chipper to irritated to vaguely regretful. She never used the word sorry, but her sighs tried to do the job. Mom changed too, just slightly. She started offering coffee when I walked in, asking how work was without rushing the answer. And I smiled, I nodded, I handed over the card. Not the gold one, that was gone. This one was newer. I'd received it after a client event and left it in a drawer, untouched, until now. I activated it, set a spending limit, handed it over. She still has some expenses, I said, flights, food, whatever. Mom didn't ask why it was a different card. Didn't ask why I had one sitting around unused. Didn't ask anything. That's how I knew, she still thought we were playing the same roles. Lauren texted the next night. Card's working, you're the best, I'm bringing back a surprise. I didn't reply. Instead, I packed 3 boxes, clothes, books, papers, the essentials. I called a moving company for Tuesday. The next morning, I phoned the realtor, Andrea. We'd met once, years ago, at a networking brunch. She remembered me right away. How's the house holding up? She asked. I'm ready to let it go, I said. She didn't need the whole story, just the facts. The deed was mine. I was the only signatory. I'd be out by Friday. She said she had a buyer already waiting. In the garage, I found the old folder labeled temporary. Inside were the tax transfer papers Dad had signed. I never changed the label. Upstairs, I pulled the family photo off the hallway wall, the one from Christmas 7 years ago. I was barely visible, just a cropped shoulder at the edge of the frame. It used to bother me. Now it explained everything. I was never really in the picture, just close enough to cast a shadow. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving, not yet. I left the key under a rock in the garden for the moving crew, marked the boxes, kitchen, documents, don't lose. Then I drove to Grandma's. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me, no questions, just a nod and a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I have 3 rooms, she said, and no patience for nonsense. I smiled. Perfect. The house smelled like flour and tomatoes and old wood. The kitchen was loud, clattering pans, orders, shouting in English, Spanish, and something in between. Her cafe hadn't changed, neither had her rules. You ready? She asked. Not yet, I said, but I will be. She wiped her hands on a towel and looked me in the eye. They'll show up. When they do, I'll handle it. I know. And I did. They came back on a Thursday afternoon. Sky half clouded, suitcase wheels dragging over the walkway like a warning. I was waiting, not inside the house, but on the porch swing. Lauren got out of the car first, grinning like we were sisters who actually talked. You came to pick us up? I didn't answer. Dad grabbed the bags. Mom reached for her keys. She tried the lock, then again, looked at me, confused. Did you change the door code? No, I said. I changed the lock. She blinked. Why, you don't live here anymore. She laughed, a dry, clipped laugh she used when something made her uncomfortable. Cassie, come on. I stood slowly, walked down the steps, and handed her a manila envelope. Inside, signed closing documents, sale confirmation, and wire transfer receipt. Andrea had worked fast. The buyers were moving in Monday. I sold it, I said. Lauren frowned. Sold what? The house. Her face fell, like a plate dropped to the floor. You can't do that, she snapped. That's illegal. This is Dad's house. Dad opened the envelope. His face went white before he even reached the second page. Cassie, you signed the deed to me 5 years ago, I said quietly. Remember when the IRS came? He opened his mouth, closed it, sat down on the curb like he needed air. Mom's voice sharpened. You had no right. I looked at her, and for the first time in years, I didn't flinch. I paid the back taxes, the mortgage, the bills, the repairs. For 5 years, I've kept this house standing. You just lived in it. Lauren stepped forward. So where are we supposed to go? I handed her a second envelope. She opened it. Inside, an address. A set of keys. A sticky note in Grandma's handwriting. Room upstairs. Work starts at 6. Apron on by 5:45. Mom stared at the note like it was written in code. You sent our things to your grandmother's? I sent your things to your mother, I corrected, and she agreed to take you in, as long as you pull your weight. Lauren scoffed. You think she can tell me what to do? She's been doing it since before you were born. Dad finally spoke. What about the card? I turned to him. Which one? The black one, the one we used. Oh, I said, that wasn't mine. Lauren stiffened. What? That card was yours, I said, meeting her eyes. You opened it 2 years ago, left it in a drawer when you quit that copywriting job. I never used it, she snapped. You did now. She looked at the paper in her hand, then back at me. You're lying. I didn't reply. The moving truck pulled into the driveway. The new owner stepped out, young couple, baby, dog, beaming. I turned back to my family. You have 3 days to vacate Grandma's guest rooms. Mom's mouth opened, closed. I didn't wait for what came next. I walked to my car, started the engine, and left. No speech. No last word. The house was already gone. So was I. It was quiet for a while after that. No calls. No voicemails. No late-night knocks on my door. Just peace. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. Nothing fancy, 2 rooms, soft light, no shared walls, the kind of silence you don't realize you've missed until you finally get to keep it. Work picked up. I stopped checking my bank balance 3 times a day. I stopped flinching when the phone rang. I bought flowers for my own kitchen table, not because it was anyone's birthday, just because I liked the color. Then one morning, Grandma called. She never starts with small talk. They're adjusting, she said. I didn't ask who. Your mother scrubs pans slower than I'd like, but she's doing it. Your father learned how to fold napkins, poorly. And your sister, she finally figured out how to clock in on time. I didn't say anything. Grandma sighed. They're not saints, but they're different. Some things can only be learned by sweat. That night, I couldn't sleep, not from regret, just weight. The kind you don't realize you've been carrying until someone names it for you. The next week, I stopped by the cafe. Not to talk. Just to see. The back door was propped open. The usual smells, garlic, oil, yeast, wrapped around me like a coat I hadn't worn in years. Through the kitchen window, I saw them. Lauren wiping counters, hair tied back, sleeves rolled. Dad folding paper menus into neat stacks. Mom, hands in dishwater, mouth pressed into a line. None of them looked up. I didn't go inside, I just stood there watching. Not with anger. Not with pity. Just clarity. They looked like people who were finally being asked to hold up their end. And for once, no one was reaching for my wallet. I walked back to my car. Later that week, I got a letter. Handwritten. My name in careful cursive I hadn't seen since childhood. Inside, one line, "You were right, I just didn't want you to be. Mom." No apology. Just that. It was enough. I folded it, slid it into a shoebox with a few other things I hadn't thrown out yet. An old photo. A birthday card from Grandma. The receipt for the back taxes I paid the year they nearly lost everything. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just closed the lid. Months passed, seasons changed. Sometimes I'd hear about them secondhand, through Grandma or a friend from church. Lauren got a second job. Dad fixed the cafe's leaky pipes. Mom started baking again. None of it made me feel anything big. Just something small. Like maybe, the ground had settled. One Sunday, I walked by the old house. New paint. New flowers. A tricycle in the driveway. I didn't stop. Didn't slow down. Because this wasn't a story about getting back what I lost. It was about leaving before I lost myself, and making sure no one ever erased me again.